I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think the idea of having a conversation about leads is important. I think messaging is important. But as you were talking, I made notes about I think the three ways that I approach leads is who, what, and why. So to take your analogy about doctors, people seek out a doctor because they don't feel good. But at the same time, we see commercials on TV all the time about different medications,
Right.
and pharmaceuticals are influencing people that have certain diseases. When you go to the doctor, ask about this medication.
Yes.
And so what are they using in the commercial that would stimulate somebody to ask about that? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about with messaging. The same thing, when Trump, I'm not picking a
Yeah.
political
Yeah.
party one way or the other, but when Trump changed the tax law, how many people lost their deduction for their home?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people benefited from it, but a lot of people lost it too.
Yeah.
So people that would have done, an online tax thing, might have gone to a tax person because they didn't understand it.
Right.
And part of that's in messaging. So,
But see here, yeah, but here's the difference. So this is good. This is exactly what we want to talk about. Here's the difference. The tax law changes and somebody says, I don't understand it, but I know that if I don't understand it, I'm going to pay more in taxes, or I could pay more in taxes. And I've got to file my taxes every year. That's an acute situation. It means that April 15th, I've got to file my taxes. And before that, I need to know what my deductions are going to be, or what I'll be able to deduct. This is going to cost me money. So I'm going to spend money in order to avoid losing money or costing money. With the pharmaceuticals, they're telling people who have diabetes or multiple sclerosis or whatever, we have this medication, this new medication that could really relieve your symptoms, but you need to go to a doctor. You can't buy this anywhere else. You need to go to the doctor. For the insurance agent, I think the problem is, one, insurance companies should be advertising like pharmaceutical companies and saying, you need to go see your insurance agent. But the message in this particular, in the case of annuities, is, are you ready, or do you want to convert your retirement savings into guaranteed retirement income like your Social Security check? So people say, there's nobody I've ever asked that question has ever said, well, no, I don't want to do that. Everybody says, well, yeah, absolutely. I need, not only do I want to, I need to do that. I need to convert my savings into guarantee. But what do we get? We get knuckleheads like Fisher coming up there and say, I don't believe in annuities. And people go, so what? I don't even know what an annuity is. And just because you said that, I don't believe in it either. I mean, it's asinine messaging. It just.
Well, wait a minute. You and I feel like it's asinine messaging, but for Fisher, for a certain segment of the population, it's great messaging because he gets people that come to him. I totally disagree with him. In fact, I wrote an article in Insurance News Net magazine about him and his claim.
Yeah.
But there is a segment of the population that responds to that. And the question is, why do they respond to it?
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about that. So the reason that people respond to it, and I don't know if we want to talk about this, but probably the psychology behind that is that people like to blame others for their quandary or their dilemma. So what he's saying, he's setting up the insurance agent, who's an easy patsy, right? Everybody hates insurance or insurance agents except maybe their own, right?
Well,
they
only hate them until they file a claim.
Right.
And then they want to know, where the hell's my agent?
But they feel that the agent is always selling them insurance that they don't need or they don't want or there's no benefit to until they actually need it. And so what Fisher does is he feeds that. He feeds it by saying, hey, is your insurance agent or somebody telling you to buy an annuity? Don't listen to them. And so it's the same thing like the Trumpsters or the anti, the far left or the far right. They're just saying, hey, don't trust those people. And the people on the far left say, well, I don't want to trust the people on the right, so I'm going to believe or buy whatever you say.
Right.
People on the right saying, I don't want to trust the people on the left, so I'll buy whatever you're saying. That's the psychology behind Fisher, because he's not really saying anything. He's just saying, I don't like them and you shouldn't like them either.
That's the psychology behind it. But is he not really saying anything? Because what I hear him saying is we don't charge those high fees. I mean, he not only says annuities are bad, therefore the people who sell them are bad, but are they really just bad, or are they just greedy? Well, maybe they're not bad. Maybe they're just greedy because they want those high commissions. And I'm a good guy. I would never sell you annuity because we don't take high commissions. We don't have those high fees.
Well, okay,
that's explanation for why the insurance, you should not buy an annuity. And he's not really saying that the insurance guy's bad. He's just greedy.
So what he's saying is, and you know this, it's fallacious. It's not true. It's not accurate. And so what he's doing is he's lying, and he's not. It's not a.
Well, so it's an error of omission. He's not.
It's an error of omission. But he even said, I mean, his commercials, and that woman says, "We're not like other. We're a fiduciary, and we can only act in your behalf. And if you don't do well, we don't do well," which is not.
Which I think is a commission.
Well, right, but what the way they work is they charge a percentage of assets under management, and when they lose money, they still get paid. They don't say that, right. So they're disingenuous. And what you're talking about is the same thing in politics. Is people have understood, advertisers understand, you can lie to the public, and if it's repeated often enough, in their minds it becomes the truth. So you can either succumb to that deviousness and perpetrate the same thing and saying, oh, did you know that the commissions on, which is actually true, the commission paid on an annuity is less than you're paying your broker in your asset management fees. Well, over 20 years or 10 years, that is absolutely true. You could come out and say that. It's partially misleading, but you might get a lot of people say, well, I didn't know that. And they might not believe it because it's coming from, you're talking about annuities and they don't understand annuities anyway. Right. So my point is that part of it is in the message. Part of it is in how they deliver the message. But the big part, I mean, in terms of annuities, is most agents are selling fixed index annuities as a savings tool. And most people will say, even if they said, well, I have a savings tool that you will never lose money in the market. And they will go, okay, well, that's great. I'm interested in that. Say, oh, but it only pays 3%. Well, shit, I'm not interested in that, right? So when you drop the other shoe, they're not interested. When we're talking about single premium annuities, or you're talking about income annuities, even if they're deferred, you say, hey, do you want to convert your retirement savings into guaranteed monthly income for as long as you live? Everyone says yes. That's open. Where's your store? Open the doors. Where do I go to find out about that? That's the difference in marketing. From using the proper rhetoric, the proper terminology to get people to want your product versus people who you have to sell on the product. And that's what I wanted to focus on, whether it's lead generation or prospecting or, I mean, messaging is part of it, but you still have to deliver the message and you have to deliver it to a receptive audience. So there's more to it than just the message, right?
Well, yes and yes. I was going to say yes and no, but yes and an asterisk. So, so here's what I tell agents: the first thing you have to figure out, or one of the first things you have to figure out, as an agent, just from the agent's point of view. Like I'm a new agent. I just got licensed yesterday. I've got to figure out, am I more comfortable talking to people on the phone or in person? Right. That's the first thing I got to figure out. Am I more comfortable in person or virtual?
Right.
I got to figure out how I can interact with people.
Yep.
And what product do I understand? And what product am I most comfortable explaining? Because if I don't know anything about long-term care or annuities or Medicare supplement, and all I did was learn an IUL. I mean, that's what I learned in class. That's what my managers taught me. You're an idiot to go out and buy long-term care leads if the only product you know about is life insurance, right?
Correct.
Well, what product are you most comfortable? And the reason I say most comfortable is because you want your sales presentations to be successful. In other words, you want people to actually buy from you. And if you're not confident and competent and comfortable in the product you're presenting, people aren't going to buy from you. So figure those three things out. Once you figure those three things out, then the next thing is, well, who are those people? Right? I mean,
well, so I'm not that I disagree with you. I think there's a nuance there which I'm very sensitive to. So is it easier? There was I'm trying to think of this, the 1 minute salesman. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Back in the 1980s?
Right over here.
Yeah. And one of the things he talks about in there, and this is all, I haven't probably read it in 30 years. He talks about, do you want to feel in control? Do you want to feel powerful? He says, go stand in the middle of an intersection and direct traffic in the direction it's already going. If everybody go over here, and they're already going there, you're going to feel like, hey, I'm in control of this thing. I can send people wherever I want them because they're already moving in that direction. So my sales philosophy has always been to kind of go with the flow, take people in the direction that they already want to go in instead of fighting them. So I agree with you that what are you comfortable with? What can you sell? You can't sell or you can't help somebody if you don't know the products. But my argument then is you should know all those products. I think it's more important for you to know those products than it is for you to figure out how to just sell, like the old adage, to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And I would say 90% of my customers, they're hammers. And I specialize in IUL for tax-free retirement. I specialize in tax-deferred annuities. I specialize in long-term care or Medicare supplements. And I ask them, you specialize in Medicare supplements. You go out, you help somebody with their Medicare, and those people are 65 or older and on Social Security. Do you ask them about retirement income? Do you ask them about long-term care? Do you ask them about final expense? No. What happens if they're in? What if they say, "Oh, you handle insurance, you got my Medicare. How about this? Can you sell me a final expense policy?" They say, "No." I walk out the door and say, "I don't do that." And I'm going, that's again analogous to the guy in the liquor store. Somebody comes in and says, "Hey, do you have this kind of beer? Or do you sell beer?" And he says, "No, I only sell wine." And he goes, "Go out, leave. I don't sell that." And everybody's coming in asking for beer. And he said, "No, I don't sell that." Well, why don't you just get a beer license? Why don't you just get beer in there? And this is what I think makes it so frustrating. I mean, I know it did for me until I changed and I became, when I got into employee benefits, somewhat reluctantly. My brother got me into it, but I got into employee benefits and healthcare coverage. I was already doing disability. I was already doing life insurance. I wasn't doing annuities. When I got into employee benefits, now I had to offer 401ks, which were new at the time, but pension plans and group health coverage and group disability and group life and all that to the employees. But now I'm talking to the employer and I'm saying, "Hey, we got that taken care of. Do you need a dental vision plan?" "Oh yeah, we need that too." "How about, do you have key person insurance on yourself or some of these guys on the list here?" Excuse me. And that's when I started to find out shit, I can talk to almost anybody and say, well, I handle this, I can handle all these things. And one of them, they'll say, oh, maybe you can save me some money on my health insurance. And it might be, I might look at it and say, well, it's a $500 commission, if I get this. But it's a foot in the door, and it's something. The person came into my store and said, can you sell this to me? And when I was in the position where I could say, yeah, I can sell that to you. I mean, I did hook up with a P&C guy. So I said, if you need auto and homeowners, I can handle that. I don't do it personally, but my partner does. And what I found was there wasn't anybody, unless somebody said, no, I'm all taken care of. I have a great agent. They handle all my stuff. Great. But if I met anybody who didn't have an agent or didn't have a commitment and they needed something, I was in the door. And all I needed was that one sale. And now I've got a client that I can go back to and sell other things. And I keep trying to tell this story to my customers, and they're not getting any reinforcement from the IPOs or the FMOs or their GA. Nobody's telling them, because most of the GAs, I mean, if they're building up they're selling annuities or they're selling life insurance, right? There's not IMOs, FMOs that are supporting Medicare supplements or
there's a lot of FMOs out there that are just med sub shops, just senior shops.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know, but they're the same. They have the same problem. Why are you just med sup? You offer all the other products, and now when guys come to you, you have more to sell.
I don't disagree with you in principle, but let me give you kind of a take on this. All right. So I used to teach a class in Des Moines. We'd fly 40 agents in twice a month, new agents. They just got contracted. Some of them hadn't finished licensing yet and got their license yet, although most of them had just got their license. And here's what I used to tell them. And most agents are recruited to a product.
Yes.
Very, very few organizations recruit an agent to an income model.
Yes.
I mean, very few, I used to recruit agents to a career. I used to recruit agents to a culture.
Right.
To an income model. Make $100,000 a year, $8,333 a month, $2,100 a week, $400 a day. Come here and I'll show you how to do that. And they would show up to learn how to do that.
Right.
Agents are now recruited to a product. Any email you get from any IMO or carrier out there is about an Allianz new product, a new life insurance, a new disability. They're recruited to a product. So when they come on board, they learn that product. And here's what I used to tell agents that would come into the school. There's nothing wrong with learning all the products, but I've never seen in 40 years, I've never seen an agent come in, go through a sales school, learn 9 products, and go out and make enough money to support their family in 90 days selling 9 products. They don't do it. They'll learn one product. And what I would tell them is pick one primary product and one ancillary product. Like pick a med sup and a final expense. Pick a final expense and a short-term care. Pick one primary product and one ancillary product. Go learn to sell that. If you can't make enough money to pay your house payment, car payment, put braces on your kids' teeth, and pay for your kids' soccer, selling one primary product and one ancillary product, you won't make a dime trying to sell 9 products because you won't take the time to learn all of them. That's the hard part about it. So that's for new agents. But as you evolve in your career, by the second year in the business, you should know, if you start off selling life insurance, then you should know about IULs and you should know about dental, hearing, and vision, or maybe you should know about critical. You should know some of the other products. So when you're in the house, what you're talking about, what you used to do, what I used to do is pick up wallet share, right?
Yeah.
Right. You don't leave money laying on the table. You don't carry a sign with you that says insurance agents welcome here and hand it to your prospect and say, I don't sell that, but put that on your door so every other agent in the world knows to come and knock on your door.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Right.
So when you're prospecting, when an agent's prospecting, they can't send a marketing message out that says, hey, I sell insurance, whatever insurance you need, I'll sell it to you.
Hold on there. So let me share something with you. 'Cause this is real, and this is where I learned it. So when I first started out in the business, and I started out with Occidental Life, and it was whole life insurance. I was taught to sell, and that's all I did, whole life insurance. And I met a group of friends actually at a life underwriters conference in San Francisco, and it was a group of Prudential agents, and these were multi-line agents. And at the time, I was prospecting by sending out return cards for term life insurance. So I'd get them come in, I'd either write the term life insurance, that was my leader, or I'd talk with them about cash value life insurance and sell that. But that was it. These guys were sending out a postcard that said, you're interested at the top, you're interested, we're interested. And then it had check boxes for like 9 things. And it had auto, homeowners liability, but it had life insurance, disability income, health insurance, and annuity, or income annuities, or whatever it might be. But there was like 9 check boxes on there. And they would send that out to everybody in the neighborhood, and they would send them out every month. And they would get these things back, and they would be checked with different boxes. And so the agents, when they called up and they said, okay, see, you're interested in this, this, and this. Can I schedule an appointment? I'll bring out some quotes and show you all these things. But the person was said, yes, I'm interested because I checked the box. You're calling and you're saying, I have the information you're looking for. It was simple. And they expected you to come out and provide the information. So when you say that it's hard for a guy, now, can you make enough money to live on if you're getting check boxes for term life insurance or auto, and you don't sell auto or whatever it might be, home mortgage? If you can't make a living at that, in my opinion, and you and I can talk about this, that's the problem of the industry. That's the problem with our companies and the IMOs and the IPOs. One, they are not recruiting to careers. Very few, maybe New York Life does that, maybe Principal does that. They're not recruiting career agents. Like you said, I just want somebody to go out and pitch our products. And then when they're gone, we keep that business. But the problem is with Prudential, back then they put somebody on, okay, you got a wife and a kid, at that time, we'll give you $3,000 a month for the first 6 months. After 6 months, we're going to pare that down to $2,000, and then 6 months later it's $1,000. So as your renewal commissions, or as you learn to sell, you're going to displace that guarantee with commissions. So, and if you don't learn to sell, then you're out of the business. But for the first 6 months, you've got to learn to sell, and we're going to underwrite that. Now, they don't do that anymore.
In the offices I was in, that we had those cards with the 12, we had 12 check boxes in there. When those cards came in, the managers handed them out. And usually what happened is the manager would pair the agents up, because he knew that some agents didn't know that much about these 7 products.
Right.
Do these 3 products. The manager would never hand a new agent that's been there for 3 months a card where 4 of the products he hasn't learned yet. Like with Mutual of Omaha, you had to be certified on each product. So I had to I had to go through the 3-ring binder, study the product. Then I had to take this test that my manager gave me, which gave you the answer to it too. And then we would fax that test into the home office. They would fax it back and say, you pass, you're now licensed to sell that product. Right. So managers would hand that out and pair people together. That's not the way it is today.
No, it isn't. And so
even when agents go to the office now, when they go into an office, the manager stands in front of them and reads the latest bulletin from the home office.
I know.
Gives them the pitch on the latest product that they have. Yep. So I'm not disagreeing with you. The agents need to know all their different products, but they don't. I went to an agency office in Sioux Falls, Iowa. This is a number of years ago, and we had a manager in their office that had been there for 32 years. Production in the office had gone down, and the agents were skipping out. They were leaving. And my job is to kind of figure out whether we fire this guy, retrain him, or put him back out in the field, let him get his renewals, and bring a new manager in. So I went in. We had like 9. I think we had 9 products. I went around the room. I went to every agent, and I said, tell me what you sell. And I wrote it down on the whiteboard. sell annuities, Medicare supplement, critical illness. They gave me the list of what they sell. Went around the room. There was like, I don't know, 12 agents in the room. Wrote all of it down. And then I went back to each agent and tell me the last time you sold each of these products. Every agent had only sold like maybe 2 of the products.
Right.
And I would circle them. And then I
Right.
tell the agents, you don't sell these products.
Right.
You don't have these products. They're not your products. They're the company's products. You only have the products that you sell.
Right.
So I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
No. I think we're onto something here. So let me share my perspective as an agent. When I was selling in the 80s, it was that was the time of executive life and the junk bonds, and interest rates were high. Remember, inflation was like 13-15%. Mortgage was 15%.
Right.
And interest rates on life products were high. And everybody said, well, this isn't going to last, it can't last, or whatever. But I had products that would have a 5 or 6, we used to call them quick pay or short pay or fast pay or whatever. And I had these products that were based on interest where you can still do it today. You can front end load it, but you know that you're front end loading. It's not all commissionable. Well, I had some products with Great West Life, which was a AAA company, great company. They had a 5-pay product at all ages. It was 5-pay. It was a whole life product, and the dividends would pay the paid up additions for the rest of the life based on the current dividend schedule. And I went out and I said, okay, all I'm going to sell is this product, because the average premium even back then was $5,000 or $6,000, and I had an 80% or 90% contract. And so, hey, I can sell one a month, right, and I can feed my family. Right. So I was singularly focused on one product because that was the most profitable to me. And what I discovered was not everybody was a prospect for that product. Not everybody could afford it. I ended up selling a lot of term life insurance. I'll come back at another time and sell the quick pay. But my problem was prospecting. My problem was lead generation. How do I find people? I'm a hammer. I've got this 5-pay life insurance policy. It's very profitable for me. It's good for the client, but not everybody is a good fit. Right. So what I learned was, if I want to not have a prospecting problem, I need to be able to sell other things. And I think, I'm open up to I think this is a great discussion that we probably want to save for Friday. But my point is, I understand why guys only sell 2, but that's a decision that they're making because they say, these are the most profitable, or these are the ones I know the best. And I say, okay, that's great, but you have a prospecting problem. What would you rather have? A problem learning new products, or a problem having people to talk to? Well, you have a problem, you don't have enough people to talk to.
Let me interject here. I don't disagree with that, but I would expand on that. Let's open that book up a little bit. I think they have a business plan problem.
Yes.
And their business plan problem is one of the things they haven't put together is what is going to fund the longevity of their business. What does the renewal book look like, and where do those renewals come from? So
totally agree.
When you're when you're out there selling these different products, some life products, if you're on a 100% contract, you might get a 2% renewal in year 2 through 10 and nothing after that.
Right.
All that fits into what your business plan is. And if you have a business plan that takes first year commission and renewal commission into account, and you put together your income model, then you can work backwards and you can put together a prospecting plan. I go back to the plan I was talking about before. So the fourth part of that is who's buying these products. If you got contracted somewhere and you learn that one product and you go through the 3 things I talked about before, then the next one, who buys it? Who are the people that buy it? Is it people 35 to 55 years old? Are they married? Do they have an income of $75,000 to $125,000 a year? Are they homeowners? You know why that information is critical? Because when I go get my direct mail or internet leads or profile leads, I need to know the profile of what I'm going for. Now, the other side of that coin is that I can look at the buying behaviors of those people and I can figure out what other products, like there's a study that's out, I'll send it to you. There's a study out that tells you if people own a life insurance product, they're more likely to have a certain type of life insurance product. They're more likely to have a warranty on their cell phone. So there's things that you can do in terms of messaging that attracts those kind of people so that you can do multi-sales. But to me, this whole conversation started off with, I need more qualified leads. And in my naive view, I always tell agents this. When they tell me I need more qualified prospects, I tell them maybe. You might need more qualified prospects. But I'm guessing what you need are more prospects to qualify. That's because when they get that quote unquote qualified prospect, in my experience, and I do this all the time. I respond to stuff online all the time about a free download, a webinar, sign up for this. I sign up for stuff to get the replay and get the free download. When that phone rings, I don't answer the damn phone. I'm not interested.
Right.
I think people do that. You can write a really good email, a really good Facebook ad, and someone will emotionally click on that to get the download or to get the information, and then you never get them on the phone.
Right.
Well, hey, you asked for a qualified prospect. I got you a qualified prospect. Shut up and quit bitching.
Right.
The problem is you didn't get enough prospects to qualify. You didn't drop them in like your program. You got like a 17-week email thing, right?
Right.
You drop them in a funnel and you communicate with them on a regular basis. You build a relationship so they feel like when they get a message from you that has value to it. And now all of a sudden, when they're emotionally in touch with the problem that they actually have, one of my messages reach, then I can connect with them. Unless you just want to be like Ladder Life, Ethos Life, all these great companies out there that are getting, $50 and $100 million of VA funding. And you go to their website, you fill the form out. But I'm going to tell you something. If you watch companies, I won't name the companies. If you watch a couple of those companies online, you notice about every 2 years they change carriers.
Oh, yeah.
It's called adverse selection, buddy.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So I just want to stop here because I've got to make this phone call. But this is a great conversation, and we've probably hit on